So, my brother and business partner told me I should go on Social Security disability. Or he didn't tell me I should. He just said he considered it this morning, and I was just like, heck no. Because, one, like, I hate the government. And two, because it doesn't jive with my story of my own life. Like, I think at first I said, like, winners don't go on Social Security disability. Which may or may not be true, but it's more so like, I feel like the thing that sort of one of the things that's like kept me sane, or I don't know, it's just sane, focused, happy, like, I'd say it's definitely sane, kept me sane, is my focus on being solution oriented. Like, if I were to, like, solution orientation, I believe is like God. Like, it's not actually God. I'm not trying to blaspheme, because I am a deeply religious man. But it is like God. Like, solution orientation is like God in the sense that you have to have faith in the possibility of a solution in order to pursue a solution, instead of just focusing on the problem. Like, one of the reasons I think that child sacrifice was so big in Old Testament times is because children are hard to feed, so they would just kill their children. This is just fairly straightforward thinking. So we still engage in this kind of thinking today. Children are hard to feed, so we just kill our children, you know? It's kind of what it is. So basically, but that's problem orientation. Like, you're looking at the problem instead of looking at the solution. The solution always has to do with the creative application of attention and effort, which is like work. Like, God is like consciousness and love, which is like attention and focus. Like, there's no difference between attention and love. And there's no difference between God being love and God also being the source of attention in that sense. So I always try to focus on the bigger picture, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to not be disabled. So I feel like to, like, go on disability, and I think this is in response to me, like, taking, like, basically I, like, slept until 3, and then I was up till 7, then I slept until, like, 11, then I woke up and was nauseous for a few hours before being able to, like, kind of marshal myself and get going with the day. And this is passing. Like, this will pass. Ultimately, this is just kind of like a layover from not sleeping for a week in Mexico, because the Iberostar was feeding me nonstop soy, which was psychotic. But my family came to the rescue and they got me ribeye, so that was wonderful of them. But basically, though, I do not want to go on Social Security disability because I don't really feel disabled. Like, I feel like I'm just me, and I have, like, my own unique challenges of being me, but I'm really not disabled, because look at all the things I can do. And, like, maybe I'm doing all these things to prove that I'm not disabled, but screw it. Like, doesn't that prove that I'm not disabled? I think it does. And it's like, it's like, I don't know, like, I haven't really looked into the process. I've never really considered it, but, like, I feel like there's something to do with, like, I have to, like, prove that I have the disability or something. Like, I'm trying to prove to myself and everyone else all the time that I don't have any disabilities, that I'm actually superhuman. So it's just in the opposite direction that I'm really trying to head. And I feel, and then I told him, well, we've come so far in terms of business, in terms of identifying a problem. Like, we've definitely identified a problem. Creating and testing solutions. We've definitely created and tested solutions that work. And then creating a business model and product based off of those solutions. Well, we've definitely done that as well. So I'm like, why would I focus at this point on where things go wrong? Like, why would I focus on I got a burp. Why would I focus on health issues and be like, oh, I have all these health issues, oh, like, poor me, like, oh, I can't work? Because it's like, you're also assuming that those government people can work. I'm not trying to denigrate them, but as someone who believes that ego is the fountainhead of all man's achievements, I I believe strongly that, like, the people who work at the DMV, like, if they're not disabled, like, how am I disabled? Like, it's definitely a pride thing. It's definitely a pride thing. But it's also, like, a solution orientation degree of focus. Like, I don't intend on being disabled in the next month or two. And especially now that I'm using Scrum, I don't intend on overworking myself. So I've got this 1 week of sprinting. Then the next week I'm taking off. I'm going to focus on resting up again. So I'm just going to sprint this week. Really, like, tire myself out. And even if I only sleep like a few hours every night, whatever. I'll recover next week. And then I'll establish more of a circadian rhythm. And then I will go forth and get another sprint done the week after, and this will be the way I will get things done, because this is ultimately, like, the greatest operators in the world in terms of, like, Navy SEALs aren't, like, Sir Francis Drake, who pioneered the Drake Passage and just traveled all around the world in the half of the British Empire doing amazing stuff, like Hernando Cortez, who, regardless of what you think about his ethics, with a few hundred men conquered one of the greatest military empires in North America. Like, regardless of his ethics, I mean, he was also killing, like, literal, like, people who literally just engaged in mass human sacrifice for the heck of it. So, you can't really debate his ethics. Anyway, though, point is, though, like, the greatest operators in human history are people who are able to marshal themselves around unpredictability and make the unpredictability predictable. So one thing I do is I have my daily walks, which make my health predictable, because I always rest from my walk and I always walk. My walking improves, which improves all my musculature and my circulation, everything, which just keeps everything going really, really well. Again, kind of back to the video I put out yesterday about ocean currents, keeping circulation good, and basically, like, just saying, okay, like, I have imperfect sleep, but how am I going to operate in a way that even with imperfect sleep, I move more and more towards perfect sleep with every day and with every success and failure? This is something interesting. This is something I'm doing with my business as well. And this is, like, one of the reasons why I'm sharing so much business advice and business, just sharing my business strategy through my YouTube channel, like, as it comes to me live. I'm not really holding anything back. And the reason I can do that is basically because I'm publishing every day. And by publishing every day, it means that YouTube promotes it to a daily audience. So there's only a select group of people that are even seeing all of my videos every day. So by the point in time where those videos are blowing up, that's going to help my business, which is going to lead to greater business insights, which is going to lead to me being able to share those business insights as well. So it basically, I can stay 1 to 2 steps ahead. In the same way, if I'm teaching someone grappling, I can basically teach them, as long as I'm sufficiently masterful of my own athletics and everything, and the 3 components that lead to competition success: mindset, athletics, and technique, then I'll be good, because I can continually progress based on my study of how they operate. So in some real sense, though, I'll just be very frank, like, I'm manufacturing a ton of supplements right now, and I'm going to do a little bit of marketing to let people know that these exist. But whether or not people buy them in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, doesn't matter to me. I'm just holding on to them. I'm just consuming them for me. I can continue to supply the few people that buy these things consistently from me while I try to reach new audiences. But I don't even have to try to reach new audiences, because I can just continue to talk on YouTube about my business and about my life and about healing insomnia and about my athletic goals, like wanting to win the ADCC, win jiu-jitsu, training jiu-jitsu, getting stronger, like raising a family, all these things. And these topics will end up blowing up and getting large amounts of views in the next 3 to 5 years. These videos will blow up. That's about how long it takes for a video to blow up. I remember I made my first video, the I Didn't Sleep for 19 Years video, and it was about 2 to 3 years before that video got over 8,000 views, or like 5,000 views. And now it's still not really getting that many views. My other videos are getting a lot of views, and that's where Like, it's like a very long-term investment, but by documenting how the short-term goes in the long-term frame of YouTube, I create a no-fail situation where these videos, like, even if I were to stop posting entirely on YouTube now, these videos would still get a bunch of views at some point in time, which would lead to sales. It lead to new business ideas, lead to attention, lead to reigniting my passion for the business. I'm not planning on doing that though and stopping, because that ultimately like ruins it. Like, ultimately, once that's gonna happen anyway. So I can just keep posting, and when that happens the next 3 to 5 years, it'll ultimately build an audience of daily viewers who will ultimately, like, I ultimately want to share all of my ideas with people. Like, I want to have an audience of people who I didn't create the audience by catering to them and trying to like put out videos I thought they wanted to watch. I just made videos that were coming to my mind, and then people watch my videos the way I used to watch Elliot Hulse's videos. I just study him. I'm just like, this is a human being. I'm gonna study him and see how he works and see like why this succeeded and why. And it just helps me. As I study Bruce Lee in this way, I study like many people in this way. And this is helpful, and someday people will study me in this. People are already studying me in this way. But by me just recognizing that and allowing for that to happen in this way, that benefits me, and it benefits them, and it benefits my children, the whole human race. And it also doesn't require me reaching. Like, basically, I have this idea in life and in martial arts that you don't want to, like, reaching is bad. Like, having your elbow extend from your lat is no bueno. You want to simply reposition yourself. Don't reach, reposition. And this is kind of like true with like solution orientation, with like health. Like, don't like, oh, I'm gonna find that like next like magic pill that's gonna fix all of my problems, despite the fact that like I take tons of vitamins all the time. You want to say like, what is it, like, first of all, what's the biggest area I'm messing up? Like, let's say like getting cramps all the time. That's probably electrolytes, magnesium, B complex, zinc, calcium, one of these vitamins. And I have other videos talking about how to know which ones that is. So let's say you're having cramps all the time. You want to look into the cramp situation. But let's say you're having cramps all the time and you have generally poor health. You have to investigate your generally poor health at the same time as you're investigating the cramps. Otherwise, you're really not accomplishing anything. You're really just, you're reaching. It's like, you don't want to reach. Like in jiu-jitsu, if I reach my arm out, it's going to get arm bar. In boxing, if I just reach my arm out, I'm going to extend my chin, I'm going to get knocked out. Same with MMA, same with like fitness. Like, if I try to like, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to work out like crazy for 3 months, take a bunch of steroids. Like, I'm going to get injured. I'm reaching. I'm not repositioning myself. Repositioning has to do with like, I'm just now going to occupy this frame of behavior, and whatever comes as a result of this behavior is whatever comes as a result of this behavior. And I've determined ahead of time, based on principles, that this is the best thing to do. Like in jiu-jitsu, like, I'm going to get the mount position and maximize my own movement and stability while pinning my opponent, because I've just determined statistically that this is the best thing to do. I've just repositioned myself. Instead of like saying like, I'm going to throw 18 punches in 12 seconds at my opponent's face, I'm going to reposition myself on top of my opponent, and then I can punch him at my leisure. That's my goal with business as well. Instead of saying I'm going to go spend $1 million in ads and launch this thing global overnight, I'm simply saying, what is something that I and everyone around me needs, and what is an inevitable way that I can let them know about it without causing myself to experience burnout? This is much more intelligent, because now I'm not like all these internet entrepreneurs you see who are going like crazy. I'm not going to name names because I don't really know people's personal lives, but I mean, I do some of them. I just don't really care to like be like, this person and then this person, mostly because if you do that, then people will not want to associate with you in the future, because they're going to think that you're just trying to trash people for clout, which isn't what I'm trying to do. But basically, though, I've studied a lot of these business models at a high level, And what I've realized is that most of these people are simply trying to get enough attention to justify getting loans to buy assets, to get higher evaluations, to get more spending, to get more attention, to get more loans, to get more assets, to get higher evaluations. And it's like, you think, you're like, wow, that sounds incredibly unsustainable. It's like, yeah, like look at what's happening to Twitter until Elon Musk bought it. Look, like a lot of these companies aren't profitable. And you're like, what do they mean they're not profitable? It's because they're reaching. Like, this is why so many companies, like, skin tag on my lip, go bankrupt, is because they're not ultimately building on a solid foundation. They're ultimately reaching. And ultimately, I'm competing with a lot of those companies who are more than willing to reach to try to develop market share. So, being the paranoid person I am, like, I'm just building this in the strongest way that I know how. I'm building it, like, if I play chess against you, I'm going to build my position out. I'm going to build a very strong position from which I can engage in a lot of different actions. And that's how I believe in doing business. I believe in doing business from the standpoint of, here is a fundamentally solid foundation. I'm taking something that everyone needs. I'm providing it at a higher level, which I've also determined a need for. And now I am going to simply sit on that need among other business opportunities, develop other business opportunities at the same time. I'm just talking a lot about developing the supplement company and my thought process behind it, because I want to have an audience of people who know how to think about business and who I'm teaching to think about business, because even teaching my brother how to understand business has taken me years. So if I'm going to hire anyone else, especially eventually through my YouTube channel, which I think would be a very good idea, because people who watch my YouTube channel are really big fans. You want people who are invested in you as a principle of life. So I'm basically putting myself out there so people can invest in me through saying, this guy has really cool ideas. I'm going to invest my time and energy and attention into listening to him. And then after a long time of listening to me, then I'd be like, I think like a small, infinitesimal fraction of people, like 0.0001%, would be like, I actually have some skills and stuff that can actually help this guy. I'm going to hit him up and make a proposal. And they make a proposal. I'm like, this guy actually understands my business model and has some skills to help me. Hey, man, let's see if we can work together. And like, that's a really useful, is that? No, I don't know. No, that was a different person I knew. I kind of know them, but like, I like different neighbor. But like, point is though, it behooves me to share openly on my YouTube channel, because I'm not reaching. I'm simply positioning my knowledge on YouTube. So people who want to find my knowledge can find it on YouTube. And then over time, YouTube will optimize for that. And then I can learn about how to give away knowledge. But ultimately, all business models that involve me giving away knowledge or educating people will largely be based on my ability to speak into a camera or write. But speaking into a camera is the newer technology, because this is like the new Gutenberg press. This is burp again. This is the new Gutenberg press. This is the new technology that makes it so that people can communicate with each other faster, more rapidly, more inexpensively, and more efficiently than ever before. And that is really, really interesting. You also see my ideas develop in real time over the camera, because the videos are uncut. And yeah, so it's very, very, very exciting. But basically, the way I'm positioning myself, this will grow inevitably. And I'm basically like, I'm trying to grow this business. I've decided, I'm not trying, do or do not, there is no try. I have decided to grow this business model, particularly the supplement business model and the health business model, the raising consciousness through health, fitness, and high performance business model, as opposed to my other business models. I've decided to grow this business model, this educational based business model, through product quality and word of mouth. Like, ultimately, I'm not trying to cater to some audience of people. I'm ultimately trying to change the way people think by documenting the way I think. I'm trying to change the way I think by doing this. Like, I'm really investing in consciousness overall in order to get this message out there. And I think this is really cool because I think there aren't a lot of people doing this. I think there aren't a lot of people that have faith in simply investing in consciousness. There are a lot of people who they're like, oh, I'm gonna like make this business course, I'm gonna make this fitness course, I'm gonna like, and like they're getting glimpses of it, but the overall picture is really in sharing yourself as a human being and letting people sort of figure you out so that they can figure themselves out, so we can figure all this technology out, so that we as a human race can work together more effectively towards something higher. Like, it's ultimately not about using YouTube to make a better billboard. It's about using YouTube to have conversations we can never have otherwise. This is why people are still watching Alan Watts, still watching Terrence McKenna, and why they'll still be watching my videos in 100 years from now. Because ultimately, I'm documenting human consciousness. I'm not advertising. And if people want, basically, like, you need to be able to advertise so you don't have to put too much pressure on your vlogging, basically, to be advertising. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm making pots. It's like the art teacher who separated his class into two groups. They had one group make pots on quality and one group graded them based on quantity. So one group is like, if you make the best pot, you get an A. The other group is like, if you make 100 pots, you get an A. And the group that he told, if you make 100 pots, you get an A, even though not all of them made 100 pots, they made the best pots better than the other group that was merely focused on quality, because repetition is the key to quality. You have to be conscious as well. I mean, they weren't just like slapping clay together, they're making pots. It was a standard. But by me sharing on YouTube and then having other means where I also share more focused health goals and more focused business advertising, and having a whole span of everything from like, I don't even know what to just like, I don't even know, like, I'm just sharing ideas. Like, when I'm out in public, I'm sharing ideas, just sharing these ideas, putting them out there. I feel like it creates this nexus where people are more willing to try these ideas, people are more willing to practice these ideas, people are more willing to stick with these ideas, and that ultimately makes the human race better by making, each of us making ourselves better. Like St. Francis of Assisi said, if you save yourself, thousands around you will be saved. So I'm at my place of work now, I gotta get to work, but go engage in some higher consciousness, people.